Well, howdy partners, it's your old buddy the Reddit Rider, and welcome back to the Reddit Ranch. Why don't y'all come in and sit a spell, 'cause I got some mighty fine tales to tell. Like our first tale of the day. It's about a cowpoke that really hates dogs due to a childhood trauma, but his wife gets one anyway. Oh boy, I don't reckon this is gonna end well.
AITA for telling my wife that if she wasn't home in 10 minutes, I was taking her dog to the pound. My wife is 29 and I'm 33, and we have been married for 4 years. I'm the sole breadwinner and she stays home. For the majority of these 4 years, my wife has wanted a dog. I absolutely despise dogs. I was mauled badly by a dog when I was a teenager and still have scars from it. About 6 months ago, my wife adopted a shelter dog without giving me any notice. I got home one day to find a dog staring at me. I legitimately thought that the dog had just wandered in when the door was open or something, but my wife came out and explained the situation, that we had a new family member. I genuinely hate dogs, but my level of hatred for this dog is beyond all rationality. It has obvious mental/emotional problems. These problems are so bad that if you leave it alone for more than 30 minutes, it will start destroying furniture. I know this because that's exactly what it did the last time we left it alone for more than 30 minutes. It destroyed the upholstery on a $4,000 sofa. After that happened, my wife promised to take care of it. Due to the nature of my job, I am often away for work. Occasionally, these work trips involve sitting around and twiddling my thumbs. Other times, they're more like 20-hour days, every day. My most recent trip was a 2-week marathon of the latter. I was in a foreign country where workers' rights aren't exactly taken seriously. I got home this morning. After a 12-hour flight, I walked in the door at about 5 a.m. My wife was still asleep. I went straight to bed in the guest room, as she's a light sleeper and I didn't want to wake her. A few hours later, I heard her getting ready. I woke up to greet her, and she told me that she was going out for the day. I asked where, and she said she had a spa day planned. Problems: 1. I was insanely sleep deprived and stressed out. 2. I was going to have to watch the dog all day. I told her no. She responded by telling me that she hadn't been able to get her hair/nails done for 2 weeks because of my trip and having to watch the dog. I told her tough luck, but I wasn't going to watch a dog all day in my state. She literally ran out the door waving goodbye to me, got in her car, and left. First, the dog and I had a little staring contest until it started barking at me for some reason. Then I got an idea, and since my wife was only a few minutes away, I sent her a text: "Hey babe. If you're not home in 10 minutes, your dog is going to the pound." I was fully ready to follow through, but my wife read my text, turned around, and came home. She then spent the following 20 minutes shrieking and has been in a foul mood since. Did I do anything wrong here?
So, partner, you had a childhood trauma involving dogs, and your wife, who is completely aware of your trauma, went behind your back and adopted a dog that requires constant attention, and you're asking if you're the varmint. Are you kidding? No. You ain't the varmint. Your wife is one though. I mean, she went out and got a dog anyway without even caring about your feelings or trauma just because she wanted one. What? Did she expect you to take one look at the dog and you'd fall in love with it, as if all the trauma you've had would just suddenly melt away? Well, that just doesn't happen. I personally think you may want to rehome it so it could have a more suitable home. Yeah, I reckon the wife must have had better ideas in her life, but what do y'all think, partners? Do you think he's in the right or not? Let me know in the comments. Next, we have one that involves a tenderfoot that doesn't want his sister to move in with him because she won't stop making fun of his job. Why? Are you a TV executive or something?
AITA for not letting my sister move in after she made fun of my job. A little background: I'm 29, and I work in a profession that many consider unconventional. I'm a professional video game streamer. Despite the initial doubts from my family, I've made a decent living from it and even bought my own house. My sister, who's 33, on the other hand, has always looked down on my profession. She's made snide remarks at family gatherings, calling me a man-child and saying things like, "When will you get a real job?" Despite this, I've always tried to maintain a peaceful relationship with her. Fast forward to now. Due to unforeseen circumstances related to the recent economic downturn, my sister lost her job and her apartment. She's asked to move in with me temporarily until she gets back on her feet. I'm torn. On one hand, she's family, and I want to help. On the other hand, I'm hurt by her constant ridicule over the years. When I expressed my reservations, reminding her of the things she said, she brushed them off as jokes and accused me of being petty. Now, our parents are involved, and they're pressuring me to let her move in. So, Reddit, AITA for not letting my sister move into my house because she made fun of my job?
No, partner, you ain't a varmint. Your quote-unquote unconventional job is getting more conventional all the time, and as for it not being a real job, it was real enough for you to be able to afford to buy a house. Not to mention the job you have is probably better than the one your sister lost. As for the pressure your folks are putting on you, have you ever noticed that whenever people say family should help family, they're always talking about someone else, and never themselves? I mean, is there a good reason why she can't stay with your parents? You could always point out to her that this man-child has a realer job than she's got. Which I guess, right now at least, is pretty true, ain't it? Well now partners, what do y'all think? Would you have let her move in? Let me know down below. Our next story is from a little lady that wants to know if she was a varmint for calling her mother-in-law a witch. Well, if the name fits.
AITA for calling my mother-in-law a psycho witch? I'm 25, and I gave birth to my daughter 5 months ago, and I have not known peace since. 2 days after getting out of the hospital, my husband's mom was calling asking when she could come and visit her grandbaby and son, no mention of me. And when we told her it was too soon, and she couldn't come, she started FaceTiming every day to see our daughter and talk to my husband. She criticizes everything I do. She told me I should use formula instead of breastfeeding because I'm so skinny I wouldn't be able to give her the proper nutrients our daughter needs. And then when we told her that we'd be using some formula because the doctor recommended it, she said that I should be able to provide all the milk she needs. I could tell her the sky is blue and she'd tell me it's green. We managed to make her only FaceTime every few days, and she's on an information diet, but it's not enough. She'd been hinting about a big surprise she has in store for us, and I finally found out what it was today. One of my sister-in-laws called me to ask how I felt about her moving to our state, which is a 4-day drive from her home state. I told my husband, who called her to confirm, and she said that it was too late to cancel because she's already found a buyer for her house and has found a few options in our neighborhood to look at. She didn't say it, but I know she expects to stay with us until she finds a house. I called one of my friends while cooking dinner, and she called my mother-in-law a psycho witch, and I agreed and said she was a psycho witch, not knowing my husband was nearby and he overheard me. Now he's upset because he thinks she's just trying to help us, free babysitting, helping around the house, and other perks of her being close by. My family lives in the next town over. We're set when it comes to babysitting and help around the house. AITA?
Well ma'am, it sounds like to me either your mother-in-law can't make up her mind, or she just likes to argue for the sake of arguing. Either way, it ain't a good situation for you or your daughter, and your hubby needs to realize that. He needs to completely understand what his mother is doing to you, and that it's not helpful, and having her babysit for free is not worth it. He needs to stand by his wife and daughter before anyone else. I just tell your husband that you don't know where your ma is gonna stay, because she ain't staying here. Yep, it definitely looks like her husband has blinders on when it comes to his mother, but what do y'all think, partners? More importantly, how do you think this story will end? Let me know. Our last story for the day is by a little filly that told her sister that she won't forgive her if she dumps her husband, who, I might add, was her ex-boyfriend. Wow, does anyone else hear the Jerry Springer Show theme playing in their heads?
AITA for telling my sister that I won't forgive her if she divorces her husband? I'm 45 and I have a sister Jane who's 43. We've had a rocky relationship for years due to the fact that I caught her hooking up with my then boyfriend at the time, Joe. It was a messy confrontation and I told everyone in the family what my sister did, and that she was unalive to me. That first year everyone was on my side, but after Jane popped out a baby a few family members started pushing me to forgive. My parents being the main ones as they didn't want to miss out on knowing their first grandchild. I was hurt but over time I understood and didn't chew my parents out every time they allowed Jane, Joe, and the baby into their house, but I still held firm in not wanting to see or speak to Jane, so anytime she was around I would just leave. The only time I did blow up again is when Jane sent me an invitation to her wedding to Joe and asked me to be her maid of honor. I just didn't reply. They had the wedding and I kept hearing about how sad Jane was that I wasn't there and refused to have a maid of honor if it wasn't me. Jane had another kid and named the baby after me, as if it would soften me up, but I remained non-responsive. Eventually, I met and fell in love with my own husband John, and we had a small wedding, me, him for witnesses, and the judge. Opting to spend the money on a house and just invited our loved ones there a few months later. My sister had the audacity to show up sporting a 7th-month belly from pregnancy number 3, and I just went to my room while John sent her away. Jane had written a 3-page apology letter that I refused to read but didn't throw away. Because of this, John suggested I have a sit-down with Jane, not for the purpose of reconciliation, but to tell her directly how much she hurt me. Eventually I agreed and I got everything off my chest, and when I asked her why, Jane quietly said that it was because she was in love and regrets how she went about it. We parted ways, and it wasn't until after a dangerous situation with her 3rd pregnancy that I finally agreed to re-establish contact. We never went back to the way we were, but it was better than recent history. We meet up for holidays, I call her from time to time, and I've met her children. Jane even hosted a surprise baby shower for me. Fast forward to about 2 days ago and Jane comes to our parents' house with her kids and says that she and Joe are getting a divorce. Apparently, Joe racked up a bunch of debt behind Jane's back and got another woman pregnant. Jane has been a stay-at-home mother, so my parents asked if I could contribute money to a divorce attorney. The first thing I said was that, "So you were lying when you said that you were in love when you betrayed me?" Jane was shocked, but I said that unless Joe has physically harmed her or the kids, I don't see how she can't go back and work things out. And that if she doesn't, then I'll know she hurt me for nothing and will resume full and see. My parents think that I'm being ridiculous. So AITA?
Well, I'm sorry to tell you, ma'am, but everyone is a varmint in this here story, including you. Let me explain. I'm saying that you're one only because of the ultimatum. I mean, she does have one of the best reasons to divorce, and trying to force her to fix that train wreck of a marriage is wrong. Now, with that being said, do I think you need to chip in for a lawyer? No. Do I think you even need to feel sorry for Jane? No. I mean, she chose to hook up with Joe, a guy, I might add, who is obviously comfortable messing around on women he's involved with. So, can she really be all that surprised that he did the same to her? It's a case of she made her bed, so she can lie in it. I never understood why people would pursue someone that is already spoken for, and then are so surprised when he or she does the same to them. What? Do they think they're that special or something? Well, partners, what's y'all's thoughts? Do y'all think that the storyteller is right or wrong? Let me know. Let the whole world know y'all's thoughts. Well, partners, I do plumb reckon that it's time for this good old boy to ride off into the sunset. But if y'all enjoyed y'all's time at the Reddit Ranch, then I'd thank y'all kindly to hit like and subscribe. It'll really make this old cowboy smile. Until the next time we meet, adios.